Hello, sorry I'm late.
Good evening. You're not. You're a minute early.
Oh, you're very
Just not,
quiet.
I was 2 minutes early.
Bear with me. Okay. You were very, it's not you were very quiet. It's my speaker is very low. Yeah.
All right. So testing. One, two, three.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Not whispering, not shouting.
Try not to. How are you? How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like work's ticking along. It's been an interesting week, meeting lots of new people. It's been nice to be back in the depot this week. I think Pamela and the kids are adjusting to not having me around quite so much. But yeah, it's all good. And the weather's been a bit crap, hasn't it? So just wet and cold and damp. But yeah, other than that, like I say, I've really got nothing to complain about. Life is good. How are you?
Likewise, likewise. I'm not going to complain anything or everything
Hmm.
because it's just uh I agree completely about the weather, which is a bit worrying to a degree because it's a bit warm. I
Yeah.
know, I know most people in this country really prefer warm weather. Like, it's just too warm. But anyway, other than that, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah. It should be
satisfied.
colder. It's supposed to get colder at the weekend, right?
Well, yeah, but the weather forecast is changing every day, every second.
Yeah.
Today it tells you it's going to be like sunny, windy tomorrow, and then it never happens.
They just make it up as they go.
Anyway, okay. I'm just going to put my slides up, and
Yeah.
then we will just wait just a couple of minutes, and then we can just crack on.
I'm not sure if Pamela's joining us or not. I'll give
That's
her a
fine.
nudge.
I'm just going to put this slides, and then. Bear with me. This is always the case. Right. Can you see the slide?
And I can see the temple.
Okay, cool. And so that's about it. Oops.
Pamela says she's sending her apologies. She's going to be late.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I was late as well. So, yeah. Okay. Right, I think because it's been recorded, and then I think I will upload a recap later after we
Okay.
finish the class, and then I think we used to try if we can we try to finish the class on time. Yeah. So okay, so without further ado, we can just start, and then I have put all up the temple picture. So we can just all stand up and facing the temple. Let's all take a three bows. First bow, second bow, third bow. All right, thank you. And please be seated. Right, as we sorry, I've got a new chair. Well, it's not a new chair, just anyway, we get to that in a minute. Okay, so yeah, before I start, as always, I would like to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues and merciful from our grand senior elder and senior elders and all the predecessors and masters and lecturers, so I can have this opportunity to share this topic with everybody here. And I really appreciate opportunity like this because it forces me to learn more. And then I know sometimes learning can be daunting because you have to put in quite a lot of time and also to digest the message and then also to share with others. However, I think the biggest winner would be the one that is learning. because in terms of like sharing the message or information with others or knowledge with others, we are actually learning and growing at the same time. So we are the one that is receive the most benefit. Okay, so today we're going to look at the three sages in the White Young era and their journeys on Earth for the one great cause. By now, I think most of the members, including in the UK, especially those they had their Tao seminar attended, they will sort of like familiar who are those three. And then throughout the learning in Tao society, there will always be topics that's focused on introducing and also elaborating who they are, who they were, and what they did, and in years of learning. And because of that, so I think today I would like to take the direction a little bit further. And it's not so that we can omit some of the teachings. It's just to make the picture more complete. Because otherwise, we will be looking at the same piece of the story or the history over and over again. Of course, if we do that, then we can remember that part of history well. However, I think by the way of learning and how our brain learns is we go through as much as we can and we come back review it. So in terms of reviewing it, it's because these details will be repeated in the years to come. So today I'm just going to trace back. So at the moment, the picture that we can see, everybody know who they are because they are exactly the same figures in the temple. Yes, the one in the middle is the laughing Buddha with the Buddha Maitreya, and the one on the right is our holy teacher who represents the sun. The one in his hand is the sun, and the one on the left is the Bodhisattva of Noble Wisdom. So we already know what's their names. If to be more specific, we know what their names are, and we roughly know what they did before we came to exist. So there's a one bullet point to pin down here is that by learning all the teachings, either from Tao Society or from Buddhism, from Taoism, there's a key message that is underlying all the teaching. That is to know that in our life, regardless what your nationality is, what your gender is, in each life, there's only one thing that is the most important, regardless of who you are and your age. And this very important thing is to understand the what is life and what is the death. Because this is the most urgent business of business. Today I was looking at the slides, so I was thinking about throughout our life, our days, our week, our month, there are so many things that we can skip or escape. Like we can escape from I booked an appointment with the doctors, with the hospital, but I just feel like I don't want to go. I can just skip that appointment and I will be fine. But maybe tomorrow I will regret, but I will be fine. This is just an example. Things that we can skip or we can escape. It's actually not as important as we think they are. However, we usually think they are more important than anything else. On the other hand, for things that we cannot escape or skip, they are actually the one that require our full attention. For example, no one can skip breathing. maybe we can hold our breath for 2 minutes, and that's a lot. 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Myself, maybe 20 seconds. For for people who are very fit, maybe a minute or two, and that's it. So this is something that we can't even skip. And this is actually what that matters the most. And in order to be able to breathe, that means we still have a life within us. So this is the most important thing. And the only purpose for all the teachings out there throughout the human history. So all the human will be able to access this same piece of information or the same piece of knowledge when they reach the time where they start to think about what life is all about, why I am here, and what is my purpose of my life. So that's why throughout the human history, there are five significant different religions in different part of the country, sorry, in different parts of the world, and spoken in different languages. And that's because the purpose for that is for those teaching to serve the need that is upcoming, and also to be passed on to our later generation because maybe they are too young at the moment to really think about what's life, what's there, but one day they will, because as long as we're human being, they will. And in today's lesson, we will be seeing quite a few great numbers of sutras, different sutras, and the reason, and also I'm actually using those sutras to share those figures like Happy Buddhas, Laughing Buddhas, or Maitreya Buddha, or our Living Buddha, and also Bodhisattva of Noble Wisdom. They actually being mentioned in those sutras. And to understand who they were is actually to remember who we are and to know what they have done before us, what they have done for all others, all those people, sentient beings, by looking at their journeys on this world is actually a reminder for ourselves as well, that this is actually the same reason that why we are here. And unless we can come to realize that this is the only reason and the most significant reason that we are here, our life will always feel lost because we just don't know why we're here. I have no clue why I'm here. So unless that day comes forward, then we will always searching from the outside, always seeking for the answers. But there's a way to make this day come quicker. That is to make sure the information like this gets passed on. And later we'll get to see they went through so many times of incarnation and reincarnation, and by knowing that, it's actually to understand they're using their own experiences to demonstrate that the physical body is temporary. The one in them, the one in us, the real me in me, the real you in you, it's the one that is immortal, that is going to be infinite in there. So to know what they've been through throughout all the human history is actually to understand who we are following to, and who we are knowing this from, because this is also very important, especially in the year of 2026. This is a year where everybody can call themselves a teacher. A teacher is fine, but it is very important that the teacher is teaching the right knowledge. This is related to this painting. I don't know if you can see this painting. It's some detail. Yeah, cool. There's some details in this painting. I don't know if you can see it. So they share one thing in common is they're all blind. You get to see they still have two holes in their eyes. Yeah, you might have to maximize it later. Yeah, but anyway, so on their face, you still get to see two holes on their eyes, but they are all blind. There's no pupils, there's no eyes there. So the reason I'm sharing this is because the sutra, especially the sutras that last and still being preserved throughout centuries, not just decades, centuries, is actually because the sutras were reading through the sutras is one of the ways, is one of the means to realize the past and to understand the future. Because everything is put in there. It basically tells us what was there before us and what and who will be there in the future so that this is to ensure us that we know where to look at and who to look to. And reading through those classic sutras also enable us, well, this is how I feel, it enables me to become more able to embrace a lot more than what it's made available in the mainstream market. Because what I come to realize is those it's not about the mainstream market is all bad, no, but the services and the products there in the mainstream market where that we can find, they are basically set for making profits. They are not set for illuminating the road ahead. So this is difference. So I think by going through those sutras, it really enables me to be able to to even just flip through a book, just flip it through without really just skimming through. I will very quickly know if this is the one I want to read, or if this is just a knowledge from an armchair coach who just read a book and never really practice the teaching. And I also found the other biggest advantage of exposing myself to this classical sutras is that it trains my brain to be able to tell the difference between the genuine and the false. I think we are in a time in the generation where more and more things these days are man-made. I'm not talking about products. I'm talking about not just AI. I'm talking about information. I'm talking about knowledge. Even news. They're all made up. And I think it's getting crucially necessary that we have the ability to understand that which one we are doing, because what we are doing now is shaping our upcoming future. And that's why in Dao society, there's opportunity to read and then to learn and to get ourselves equipped so that we have the eyes to see the truth, not just the eyes to go, oh, this one is fascinating. I want to read this, and this one is so new. I want to know. Yes, but at the same time, we also need to remember we are what we read. We it's just like the phrase "you are what you eat." This is likewise, and our mind is also eating. What I'm reading. So I think this is why I'm mentioning this to be very, very careful and mindful about what we expose ourselves to. There are so many teachers out there, but are they going to lead us to a safe place? And this is actually a painting that is associated with the quotes that I just put in there. Yeah. So if we are going to be very irresponsible about our choices, then that is where we are going to go in the end. That is going together into a ditch because we are not responsible for what we are choosing for ourselves. Okay, right. So do we know who this is? Don't worry if you don't. Yeah. That's what I want to talk about. Okay, so when I showed the first picture, yeah, with the Maitreya Buddha and our holy teacher and Lunar Bodhisattva Lunar Wisdom, we all know who they are, and we all know their names and what they did before. And I thought, okay, so in our society, we all talk about life never dies, no, life comes back. And then there's always previous lives, afterlives, there's always incarnation and reincarnation. And then I think it's because we're human, so we're entitled to believe what we see as very natural. And then we respect who we know as a reaction to our eyes, what our eyes perceive. So for things we never seen before, people we never met before, we have a very little respect and very little interest in getting to know this person. So who is this? We all know who this is, but because it's through the journey of reincarnation, this person appeared differently, of course. I'm sure we all appear differently in different lives, and this is how we look like at the moment. So this is actually a Bodhisattva of Maitreya. It's not Buddha yet. Did you see the title? It's not even a Buddha yet. And this image, I don't know if you already discover, this image, this statue, it is a stone statue or wooden statue that it can be found in so many museums. I'm sure there will be one in a British Museum in London. If we look closely, we can easily find more than 10 characteristics from these statues that this person is an Indian by the way the hairstyle and the beard and all the dress and the features. Because we know by looking at the Happy Buddha, we know he was a Chinese. So we think, okay, Laughing Buddha was from China. Yes, he was from China. Therefore, he looked like Chinese. But this one, which is way back, that's about more than 2,500 years back. So this was the Bodhisattva Maitreya. It's mentioned in some of the sutras that we can also find on Google. So on those sutras, it mentioned about Bodhisattva Maitreya. So the first one is the sutra that on the completion of the mind field in the Mahayana previous lives. So in this sutra, it mentioned by the Buddha, the Lord Buddha, that in the future there will be a Buddha and whose name will be Maitreya. And this Buddha is very famous for the volumes. It has 8 volumes altogether, and 8 volumes dedicated to talk about the mind, the gratitude, and the spiritual practices. So it's actually one of the very famous sutras. And in this sutras alone, the Buddha already mentioned there's no one that so far can really put a date, like exact date on each sutra when this sutra was produced. But this is just 2,500 years ago. So yeah, so it was already mentioned. However, when he mentioned a sutra, the Buddha didn't call Maitreya as Bodhisattva. He already addressed as Buddha and Maitreya. And the next one is Agama. I just call this Agama, Agama Sutra. So in this Agama Sutra, Buddha also introduced that the Bodhisattva Maitreya is going to become a Buddha. And the other thing that's more interesting in this Buddha is um, the Buddha himself, he said in this sutra to his followers and all the sentient beings that came to listen to him, that day when he was preaching this one. He said, I am no different than everybody. I am no extraordinary than anybody. I am as same as everybody. And you look at me as I am different from you because I enlighten. The reason I enlighten is because I practice the teaching. And if you practice the same teaching as I did, you will be enlightened too. So he mentioned this in this sutra, and I always find this part of the sutra fascinating because, from my understanding, the Buddha is actually saying, if by following me, you are away, far, far, far away from getting what you want, which is enlightenment, you should follow the teaching, not me. Even me, I found the teaching. I realized the teaching is right in within me, not from bookshop, not from, uh, somewhere or neighbor's house. No, the Buddha literally in this sutra said, no, I'm the same as you. I'm not extraordinary. If I am extraordinary, you are extraordinary as well. So that's what he said. And I think this is a very important message in the Buddhist learning. Yeah, so and in the Diamond Sutra as well, and in the Sutra of Ascent, we will introduce a little bit ascent and descent of Maitreya Sutras in a minute. So the reason I list this is to basically find the evidence that this is not just made up. This isn't just like, okay, oh, because we know Buddha Maitreya, therefore Buddha Maitreya is our patriarch. It's our savior for our life. No, it's written on a sutra. We just have to really open our eyes, or our eye maybe, yeah, our eyes to read it without any bias, so we can see the truth. If we are reading it and with a different very personal thoughts, then we will never get to the bottom of it. We just have to be open-minded and go through those sutras. Yeah, okay. So this is the time when Happy Buddha was just a bodhisattva. So the main message here is that no one was born a Buddha. We all came down here, including them, came down here and going through many practices, many learnings, and many lessons, and many prayers. And it just really depends on how many we get through this life, and then how many times it would take for us to really be uh, liberated from this cycle again and again. Okay, so this is the first part of him. And this part of him, I'm sure most people will know who this is. And he then became like this, laughing, happy, and he doesn't really mind people calling him fat, and even had very big fat belly. And this image started back in 1,804 years ago. So the reason for that was, according to himself, the reason for that is because there was a time in China, because those sutras they keep saying about Maitreya Buddha is coming back, or Maitreya Buddha is going, oh, sorry, Maitreya Bodhisattva is going to be the Buddha Maitreya. Because of this, so I think he is learning as well, because those sutras, so people start to guess, people start to some people, they even call themselves Buddha Maitreya for their own purpose or their own personal gains. And because of this, when Buddha Maitreya was in this image, the day he returned to heaven, the day he returned to Nirvana, he actually says something and to share with the people at the time. He's actually saying Maitreya is the true Maitreya, manifesting in countless forms and appearing to people at all times, yet often going unrecognized. So this is the poem that he composed or he created before he passed away when he was in this image. And then he did say before what about why he chose to become like this. I mean, compared to his previous life, he was, I mean, so many people think that he looks so too much good looking as being a Buddha in when he was an Indian image. And then he then basically explained to to the people at the time the reason he chose to have a like very smiley face is because by looking like this, it's more accessible to everybody. And then, I mean, honestly, when we smile, definitely will attract more people. And his purpose was to, I mean, he was going to be a Buddha anyway, but his purpose at the time was to spread the message of the teaching, to spread the message of Tao. But how can this be achieved if no one's going to listen to you, or if no one's going to come near you? So he thought that the quickest way to have people to come to me or to listen to me is they can't be afraid of me. And what would be the best way to 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 remove the fear between strangers? And that is a smiling face. And that's why he became like, from a very handsome, good-looking Indian and prince, and then became like very chubby and then smiling, and then he didn't really even care for children to climb on him. There are so many paintings dedicated to so many children to climb on him. The reason I share this is because this is one of the sacrifices that many people wouldn't not yet to comprehend. The I don't think I know anyone who would like to sacrifice their look just because so that people will come near you so that you can share the true teaching with them. Not yet. Maybe in the future. Yeah, and that's why I think by learning, so each of their choices is a learning. If we look deeply, why you became like that? Is there a reason why you have to look silly? Why you want to look silly anyway? So there's a reason. So because if I look silly, if I'm not that serious, then people will feel like they can talk to me. And then when they feel they can talk to me, then I can talk to them. Then there's an opportunity, then I can share the message with them. So this is the reason. On the surface, it's not very clear, but if we, that's why I said to begin with, I feel like we need to push back or to look a little bit deeper. So this is the image that is coming from 1,804 years ago, and this is also one of the main image that we have as in our world even now 2026, that we all know this is the happy Buddha. But as the sutra mentioned that Buddha Maitreya is coming back, so where is he? And how are we going to find a link and to make sure that if this is the right one? Right, before we go to the next slide, I feel like this is something to mention as well. I remember one of the masters who shared this in one of the classes. He said, in when we when we approach to the end of our phase, because we're in the last phase now, there will be so many people, they call themselves teachers, they call themselves patriarch, they call themselves Buddha as well. And the way to check if this person is telling the truth is that the master suggests we can run this through in our head. He said a real Buddha or a real fully enlightened one will not go everywhere to eagerly make sure that everyone knows about his newly achieved enlightenment or Buddhahood, because this is a sign of ego. You want to make sure that people know, great, you've done a great job for yourself, and you because you are still waiting for being praised, waiting for being, closed. And this is the one thing that will never exist in anyone that's been enlightened. So when a fully enlightened individual, there's no room for ego. Not just ego, there's no room for anger. There's no room for happiness because you are complete. The reason we want everything, happiness, joy, or anger, jealous, is because we're not complete. We're still gaps. And that's why we issue this emotion to feel I'm complete, I'm one piece. But when we reach the state of enlightenment, then you are already you. That's why in the Platform Sutra, we haven't gone to that page here, but in the Platform Sutra, it said you have everything. You have everything in you already. And people wonder, what do you mean by I already have it? I don't remember anything. Well, today I was talking to one of the doctors in pediatric doctors in the hospital. While I was talking to him, and my mind is actually traveling with all the learnings. But anyway, he was talking about one of the patients with the neurologist and one of the patient with the nephrologist. So while I was listening to them, I was like, my mind was doing my own work. I was like, okay, neurology or nephrology or hepatology, all this knowledge exists because we exist. If we don't have a bladder, there's no exist for nephrology. If there is no brain, there is no room for the existence of neurology. And I start to understand, oh yeah, we have everything packed. And all the learning from school, all the textbooks, all the knowledge is try to understand this. And we don't understand this. It's because we concentrate on the manifestation. And that's why I keep saying to people, yes, neurology or neuroscience, they're all very fascinating subject, but I'm more into the whatever we want to call the energy or or the truth of reality or the law, whatever we want to call. I'm more into the energy behind that enables this to happen. And that's what we call it Tao. And that's what Lao Tzu call it Tao. And now in 2026, we call that as energy. I'm not even sure if energy was a word like in Lao Tzu's time, Maybe, you never know. But anyway, so and then everything start to make sense. Yes, we are already a full package. And the reason we don't really realize is because we are looking at ourselves from the textbook. I mean, our brain is the only organ that studies itself. And then our heart and our lungs and everything. Because we are studying ourselves by going through the books. But what enables this to happen is actually where our attention needs to be, invest into that area. But anyway, so this is just to say about okay, so if one day in the future and we have someone uh comes forward to say that I'm the future Buddha, so this is the way to check. So any fully enlightened individual or being, they would not they would not worry about if no one knows about them. I mean, those people, they, I mean, even Buddha Maitreya was when recognized all the time because people just don't believe that was him, and he didn't get really upset about no, 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 it's me. No, never, never. So this is the difference that we can tell. And for the really enlightened ones, all they have in their mind is how to support or how to help the sentient beings to get through their life crisis, and or how to offer their wisdom to us in time of need. This is what they were thinking about. So if we can have this sort of like a knowledge in us now, then in the future we will be able to filter through what is genuine and what isn't. And this is what I said to begin with, is going through those sutras, the biggest winners is us, is ourselves, because it really provide a filter for the eyes to see the truth. And this one that we already knew is the patriarch. That's the 17th patriarch in our Dao society. And I share the some link. How what's the evidence? Well, how do we know that patriarch Jinggong is Maitreya? How do we know? So Masaya, I don't know if you, yeah, yeah, of course you do. It's actually can be found from the Hebrew Bible, and it's actually for a savior that will come from the in the future to save everybody. Or it also mean it's the leader that is regarded as a savior for a certain group. So Messiah is actually a transliteration, it's a translation. And so is Maitreya. Maitreya is actually a transliteration from Sanskrit. So they are all translation. However, somehow when we put these two names together, they sound very similar. You know, the spelling or the sound are very similar. And what they been put in, you know, for Messiah is on the Bible, for Maitreya is on the sutras. They are very similar. Their function, their purpose, why this person is coming is almost identical. So now how are we going to link that the Petra Jingong is actually from Buddha Maitreya? How are we going to link this? Well, in Dao society, we have so many handwriting, and for members have their Dao blessing, have their three treasures introduced. We all know there's a hand sign for everybody. Everyone is doing this. And then for our patriarch, Jinggong, who was the 17th patriarch, in both of his hand is actually written as how we hold our hand. And that is the sign that if we look at the painting on the left, the young soldier here, this is actually Patriarch Jinggong when he was young. So when he was like a early 22, and this one, the one with the halo on the top, he was the 16th patriarch, and he failed to recognize that this young man, very poor, no money, only joined the army because he didn't have to worry about his next meal. I mean, who is going to believe that the patriarch of our life was in such uh, poverty? I mean, nowadays, all the teachers, all the leaders, the spiritual teachers, sometimes when I see them, they are like, travel and going in and out from the very nice restaurants, and because their disciples wanted to make sure that their teachers been, looked after and all that. Yeah, and but that always puts me into thinking. Like, yeah, so that is really separating quite a few things from in terms of learning. But anyway, so that was the beginning of it. And then I think this also says a message to us that the real one, yeah, the real ones, there's 64 of them, the real ones so far that we have learned so far, they all went through enormous time of suffering. You know, like they don't have family, or they didn't have money, or they didn't have even a place to live. Confucius, he even been exiled by his king many years, 16 years. He wouldn't be able to go back to his country. So I think that's the sign that we can use in our future, is that the real ones, they always go through enormous suffering. And the reason why they have to suffer is because so that you know how all the sentient beings are feeling. You have to go through there, and then you know how they feel, so you will be able to find a solution. So that is why there's a reason for our suffering, including us. There's always the reason, because once we get through this situation, then we will know how to teach or how to show our children, when this happen, this you can do X, Y, Z, and that will get you out of it. And so as those patriarchs, if they haven't been through the toughest time, how are we going to make sure that they will be able to solve my problems, or to serve as, a light for me when I'm in the dark? Right. So in here, I put this in bold, is the Tusita heaven. I would like to talk about this because just a tiny bit. The reason is to sit our heaven is because at the moment we know Happy Buddha. We don't know the Buddha Maitreya yet. And the reason for that is because in terms of a heaven, we know there's like one heaven, but actually there's so many different layers of a heaven. I always say to Joyce, well, if we look at this like hotel, and there are so many different floor, and Tusita is the hotel that Buddha Maitreya is the boss, the 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 owner of that layer of heaven. The reason I would like to share about this because it has everything to do with us. Of course, I won't be able to find the Tusita Heaven picture because no one really know what it looks like. So I just put a picture there. And Tusita, you might come across different spelling because it's Sanskrit, but it's about that. But the owner of Tusita Heaven is Maitreya Buddha anyway. This heaven's been mentioned heavily in Tao society. And the reason for that is because our patriarch is Happy Buddha, Laughing Buddha, is Buddha Maitreya. So if our patriarch is Buddha Maitreya, then we are his disciples or his followers in this life. And if he is the owner of that layer of heaven, which is Tusita heaven, then that means when we finish this round on earth, that is where we will be going. And the reason I am mentioning this is because it has been 2 years so far that because in Dao society we have Dao members they share the teaching from Hon teacher from time to time, and sometimes when they share, you just read it, you don't really pick up much, but they are always excuse me, there are always some bright wisdom. They came to your phone for once and you remember it straight away. I didn't remember it, but it came to me. It appeared on my phone twice. And then on the second time when I saw this sentence, it just hanging, lingers in my brain, in my head, somewhere behind my mind all the time because I just couldn't understand what is this. That is a long sharing from our holy teacher, but I only pick up this bit. And yeah, it said, this physical body that you possess now, which is me now, maybe it's your last one. And the reason I couldn't understand it was because I read Many Lives, Many Masters, and I knew life comes back. So when life comes back, either going to be another human or going to be an animal, whichever. Well, I will be a form anyway, in a form anyway. So that's why I was puzzled. I was like, what is this? What is this message trying to tell me? Until I realized because we talked about Tusita heaven all the time, and I started looking to so what is Tusita heaven do? What sort of people? What sort of if there are so many layers in heaven, then each layer is. That's why I say to Joyce, let's just view the heaven as a hotel. How much money we have got, we will get to choose, the room with a sea view, seaside view, or the room without a window, that sort of thing. And then I started looking into it. So to see heaven, actually, uh, it's actually a realm in Buddhist cosmology known as heaven of satisfaction or joy abode. This is where Bodhisattva reside before their final human rebirth to become Buddhas, including Maitreya and formerly Sakyamuni. So Sakyamuni is now the Buddha that everybody knows. But before Sakyamuni became a Buddha, he was also a Bodhisattva, and he lived in this hotel, the Tusita Heaven. And then I start to understand why our holy teacher always say to us, you work hard, cultivate hard. I know it's hard, but it's going to worth it. Because if you put all your hard work and work on yourself diligently in this life, then you will get it. And because sometimes when people say the same thing to me, it doesn't mean that I will understand it straight away. It takes time to really dissolve all the codes. And I finally understand, okay, so if to sit as where we're going to go after our life finish on this earth, by entering into to star heaven, it means we are waiting there. If I put this, to star heaven is actually the waiting room for Buddhahood. So Bodhisattvas live there until they are ready to descend to earth and to attain a full enlightenment. And it started to make sense. That's why all the sutras saying Bodhisattva Maitreya is coming, Bodhisattva Maitreya is coming in what years? And that's why there's the two sutras dedicated to Maitreya. One is ascent and one is descent. Because now, at the moment now, 2026, Bodhisattva Maitreya is actually in Tusita heaven teaching all other bodhisattvas there. And when it's time for Buddha Bodhisattva Maitreya to come, then he will complete his Buddhahood on earth. And this makes perfect sense because no Buddhas so far that we know achieved their Buddhahood somewhere else, only on earth, including the Lord Buddha, including Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara, including the Buddha of Earth Treasure. They didn't complete or finish their Buddhahood on Mars or somewhere. No, no, no. They did it here. And that's why our Holy Teacher keeps saying to us, I know it's hard, but just try your best to get through as many obstacles, as many suffocating moments as you can, because our aim in this life is to get ourselves booked into the Tusita heaven. That means that is the waiting room before we come. You know what? Sometimes I do wonder if this is our last one now. And that's why Hon teacher said, the physical body you possess now, maybe it's your last one. And the reason it is the last one is because after this one, you are a Buddha. You don't need a physical body. And everything starts to make sense. I know this might require some time to put all the pieces together, but this is to start having the in Dao Society learning, you're going to hear this term over and over and over again. And I said to Joyce yesterday, I know it's hard, but we just need to try to get ourselves booked into this heaven, because in our next round we are going to be getting ready and to receive our contribution, and it's going to be worth it. It's just going to be worth it. And I think we must have done what we are doing now for so many lives now, and that's why we are very good in doing what we are doing. But in terms of very good in doing what we are doing, including those habits. So what we cultivating is trying to get rid of those that is going to hinder our way ahead into the Tusita heaven. Okay, so this is what I want to mention. So that's where our final destination. So our final destination is not going to be going back to the cycle of birth and rebirth. No, our final destination is actually into Sita heaven, the lair where we belong to. Well, I don't know where we came from before we were descended, but I know where we need to go. In order to get together again, we need to go to the same place. So let's try our best and then work harder. It's like Buddha the Lord Buddha say to his followers before he passed away is to work diligently on your own salvation. That's what he said. He didn't say you have to study 10 years, 20 years. No, he said work diligently on yourself, because you is the one that will take you to where you need to go. I mean, even now we know to see that heaven, but if I just do nothing, then nothing will happen. And nothing will happen. Okay. I know I'm very conscious about the time, so I'm just going to flip through. Do we know who this is? No. Okay. This is called the Arhat, and then there are 18 of them. And the one in the middle, or the one mostly that we can see, there's a dragon along with the Arhat. So this Arhat, or in Sanskrit, is called Lohan, but this Arhat, the name of it is the dragon rider. So that's why there's always a dragon next to. And in the top left corner, there's a dragon as well, and you can see Arhat. You can't really see his head being chopped up, but it's just right there. And this is to show the Arhat. So what is Arhat? So there are different level of cultivation in terms of soil developing. So our hand is for the people when they uh, when they participate in spiritual learning, they only benefit themselves. So they only thought about, okay, if I do this, then I can have something. So that's our hand. And that's why our hand, they always appear alone. It's a bit different if next time if you search Google some Buddha's pictures, Buddha's always have like thousands people behind, so many people. And that's because Buddha benefit thousands of sentient beings. And Arhan, they only care or okay, they only try to make sure that they know how to do things first. So this is Arhan. And the reason why this one in the middle with the dragon is being uh, amplified is because he was actually who our Holy teacher was before he became our Holy teacher. And it took him 72 times to turn into our Holy teacher. This we know about our Holy teacher, living Buddha. And this is just to very briefly introduce his name. So he is about, from now, he is about 800 years. He's just 800 years from us. He passed away in 1209 years. And so far it's been 800 and something years, 817. And then in the year of 1985, when I was only 7 years old, in the Tao seminar where I took you guys, you and James, to in the South, at that time, because all the Buddhas and teachers, they came to talk to us, not just sound writing. He basically said to us, because there are so many movies and books dedicated to Holy Teacher, but they are not entirely right because they just want to sell the books or to sell the movies. They didn't really know what is really happened. So he came and he introduced himself as this name before he became a monk, which was 800 years ago. So his name, his family name is the Li, and Shou means to cultivate, and Yuan means affinity. So he's basically descended to earth to cultivate affinity with as many as possible. So it's basically the same reason why Buddha Maitreya became from a very handsome, very good-looking prince into a very chubby Bodhisattva or Buddha. So it's basically the same reason. He said in that Tao seminar, he said while he was a monk, he didn't really stay in the temple like other monks that study sutras or doing all these things just within the temple. He said when he was a monk, he always just go out outside on the street, and he always offer a helping hand to uh to 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 support or to save people from danger or from crisis, and which earned him the living Buddha, the name of the living Buddha. So it's not like he named himself living Buddha. No, he earned the name. It's a bit like earning respect, but he earned this name because he helped so many. And I know this sounds mad, but I just feel like he must have helped me in one of my lives. And that's why I couldn't really put my feelings to words, why I was in tears when I went to his temple for the first time. Even now, this is just so weird. But anyway, so he was like helping everybody on the street, and then he said the same thing because by helping them now, when I come again, then those people I have been helped will be able to sit down and to listen to me willingly, happily. So this is how we are doing now as well. We help those who need us or who we are able to. And then, but we don't want their money, we don't want their anything. We just want to have a moment for us to be able to sort of like waking you up and remind you who you really are. Because have when we have one more person that knows where to go, that means one more person on this earth is away from suffering. And that is how we reduce the level of suffering each by each. And that's why the whole point or the whole purpose of what all the masters and all the activities that our society trying to host. I know I'm overrun again. I will let you go very, very soon. Okay. Right. Let's just going through and then okay, so in Song Dynasty, he offered a helping hand wherever he went to save people from danger. And of course, then this is him, Shudran. And the reason we know that Shudran is actually our holy teacher because he said that. I was holy teacher, now I reincarnated to come. You see, and because he helped so many when he was the monk, and so when he became our Shudran, he had so many disciples wanted to do things for him or to help him. And our children is actually only 79 years ago. You see, that's how close we are to the successor of the Tao teaching. And this is so precious. I feel this is so precious. Right, the last picture now. Of course, this is the Bodhisattva of lunar wisdom, and that's our Shimu. And I'm not going to spend time introducing her because I'm sure we all know quite a fair bit about her. I'm just going to mention one thing. So this picture on the right, we can see it's a very simple, it's very dodgy place. And what is this? And we can see Shimu, the Bodhisattva, is actually bowing in on the map in the middle. So when Dao just came to Taiwan in 1954, and because the government there was a thing between China and Taiwan, so the government at the time they didn't like people get together, so they try their best to stop anything that will gather people together. And in Dao society, if you don't let people come, how are they going to have a Dao blessing? How are they going to have a Dao cinema? How cinema seminar? How are they going to have attend the class? No way. And so what happened to what did Shimu did, the Bodhisattva of lunar wisdom, was that she then vowed to heavenly matter if anyone that need to be punished, punish me. And if anyone that need to suffer, let me do it. So she had the vow as from 1963 to 1975. So that's about 12 years. So every night she bowed in the temple for 10,000 bow every single night. So what happened in the end? One bow, 10 bow, 1,000 bow. So her bowing eventually woke up the permanently silent earth. Even the earth is what wanted to come to see what happened. Each bow on the map is making the noise for 10,000 times for every night for 12 years. So from one bow to 1,000 bow, her bowings in the end turn into prayers and turn into stars that light away the darkness and the obstacles. And from 1,000 to 10,000 bows, those bowings touched the every molecule in this universe. And these molecules then form into us, the vow that we support, want to support Shimu, want to support this Bodhisattva, only because the her quiet, I always call her vow is the quietest vow, the breathe, the most determination. That is the quietest. She didn't go out and announce, I'm going to do this, I'm going to not like me. But she didn't. She should do it. And then she did it. And we didn't know. It was later after she passed away in the year of 1975 that we knew. Because Heavenly Metta told us. And then we knew. Yeah, and because she's always like the moon, she's always very quiet and there wasn't many we can really find to, but anyway, this is just the sharing there that I think is worth mentioning. And then okay, so I think that's the class for today. Very sorry again. Any questions before we dismiss the class?
No, I haven't got any questions. Although I did just do a quick calculation, and that's something like 44 million bows.
Yeah, yeah. For 12 years and every
Mm.
single night for 10,000. And we need to bear in mind that when she did that, she wasn't young, you know. She was
Hmm.
like an old lady, not like us. She was like in her like 70 or something. And then she did it for what? Not winning the prize, not winning, being called, someone special or not being called. No, she only want one thing. Because when she vowed to the Heavenly Matter about if someone needs to be punished, punish me. If someone needs to suffer, I will take the suffering. So because she did that, uh, um, miraculously, the government, the pressure from the government start to fade away. And then
Hmm.
those like the grand senior elder and the senior elders, they were able to start to propagate Tao in from Taiwan right after the vow. And I think the power or the power that can make that can turn impossible into possible, it's so enormous and so large. The only thing is we can't see it, but those power is around us. Around it was around Shimu, it was around you, it was around it, and those power only gets activated when the vow is we take is going to benefit thousands. And then that's the time that we witness, oh yes. And this is actually why I keep asking Lisa and now Bibi. I know it's going to be very hard, but every time when we suffer, it's actually the opportunity that we know that really works. And that's why I asked the question about what would be the best outcome. Because if we know what the best outcome for the situation in terms of in BB's situation, then we will know what to do to make that happen. So if we do this, then none of the suffering that we experience will go in vain. We have
Hmm.
to make our suffering count by introducing the ability of doubt into solving either the crisis that is out of our hands. And this is the only time that we get to see it really exists. So don't let those suffering just go in vain, out the window. No, you suffer for nothing. No, 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 no. We suffer, that's fine. But there's something that we can do. I can talk about this for hours, but the thing is to get those people who are suffering to have a faith. That like what baby say, she's keeping faith, but keeping faith is one thing. It's the first step. The second step is to introduce some action. By doing this, then we will start to. I am very confident. I am confident if she can. I'm sure she's a bit occupied at the moment, but if there's a time or something that we know, okay, it's a bit like a Lisa, you know, and then that's why I kept asking Lisa, what do you need? And then she said, I want a surgery. Okay, let's work on the surgery. But it's always the learning, it's always the learning curve and everything. Yeah, so
Hmm.
when we look at Bodhisattva of lunar wisdom, Shimu, it's not that she has the greatest power. No, it was because what she wanted to do in order to solve the problem was so great that she wouldn't be able to do it. And because she wouldn't be able to stand up to the government, so what she withdrew herself into was back to the temple and talk to the heavenly master. Now here's the situation. I can't do anything to solve the problem. What I can do is by bowing, and by bowing means I have faith in you. I have a faith in something I cannot see. So that's the whole sharing for this. Okay. All right.
Beautiful.
Okay. Right. Okay. If you don't have any question now, but if you have it later, you develop some questions, please let me know. I'm very happy to talk about it. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry for running late again. So before we finish the class, let's all stand up and then we facing the temple. And let's take a three bows together. First bow, second bow, and the third bow. All right. Thank you for coming and thank you. And please say hi to Pamela. Looking forward to see her again. All right.
Will do.
Have a nice evening.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Lila.